You ain't got to worry about that, Jizzle. If somebody doing something better than me and they in pocket, they going to be right where they need to be, right beside me, baby.
You know what that is, rattling?
I'm the one they forgot about. I need some help reminding these motherfuckers. Boy, you help me? So cold. It's God's work. I ain't got nothing even to do with this. It's God's work, man. It's God's work. I ain't got nothing to do with this. Come on. Sing a song. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to be free. I want to dance with you, though. I want to give you some soul. We're going to let this breathe. All the dancers, you know what to do. I made this part for you, and you, and you, and you, and you.
Say right now, look at here. A nigga finna get loose. Huh? A nigga finna get loose. Huh? A nigga finna get loose. Huh? A nigga finna get loose.
Where you from? Where that at? Where you headed? What is that? What you doing? Feeling that? Get that fucking cake up. Open your mind. That love you. Keep your distance. Unless you wanna get with this.
Me and the renegade, like grenades, blowing up mine, dime, boo. Chopping like sumo. Nigga hungry like Cujo.
Smoking that Pluto.
No ticking time like fan on the road. Nigga feel beautiful. No fuck
Who ready? We ready. Who ready? We ready. Who ready? Who? We ready. Who? Who ready? Who? We ready. Who? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili. From young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready. Who ready?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Appreciate it. It's a one-on-one sports show. Appreciate y'all for joining. What's up, black man?
What's going on with your brother from another mother? What's going on with you, my boy?
Nah, I see everybody had some last minute
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in
going
for
on.
I'm gonna sit in for Trey and Mr. Bennett till they get here.
Yeah. So I figure we'll start off with the championship games in college basketball today. And I was just looking at right before we came on. I was looking at the ratings, and for the first time in actually college basketball, the women's title game had higher ratings than the men's. Of course, the men's title game, I think it went down. It just kept going down in the second half when the game started getting away from Purdue. But the women there was over 18 million watching their game, and at one time it peaked at 24. So when you had 24 million, and the men, I believe they had like 14 or 15 million.
Right.
But 24 million, that's football territory. That's higher than 24 million is even higher than Thursday night football gets. That's like a 3 o'clock Central game in football, or even a Monday night game.
Right.
So that's high rated for 24 million. But on average, the women's game had 18 million, and it was a real good game. Caitlin Clark, she didn't show out like she did versus LSU, but she had a good game. And I remember she had some nice passes, but her teammates didn't finish it for her.
Right.
But for South Carolina, they had no answer for Cardoso. She was just too big in the paint, which I expected. I don't think Iowa had anybody as big as her.
Is Cardoso going to the league, or no? She's staying.
I think she just announced either yesterday or today, because I just heard this morning that she was going. Cause I remember she was going back, and she didn't make a decision yet, but I heard she is going to the league now. So South Carolina, hey, this was a new starting five that they had from last year that made it to that won its title game. So they'll be able to. I forgot the total record that Don Staley has been since he's there.
I think
But
it's
just
103 to 9 or some shit like that.
well, she been there. People don't know. I think Don Staley been there for over 10 years, I believe.
Damn.
She just, I guess, they was a good squad, but now they're a dominant squad. They approaching those old UConn. And I remember back when UConn used to win all the time, people used to didn't care about the women's game
Right.
because they already know like UConn gonna win this, UConn gonna win this. And I remember Gino Auriemma was like, somebody asked him a question, because the ratings are not as high in women's basketball because UConn keeps winning, are you gonna find a way, kind of dial down your team's play or whatnot so that other teams have a chance? Like, why? Other teams need to come up to where we at, because
Right.
really, if they come up to where UConn was at the time, that's gonna, create a better product on the court. And
Right.
you see that now. There's women's team now that clearly then rose up to that old UConn level. And Baylor was there one time when Brittany Griner was there, but since Don Staley of South Carolina, they established themselves as the big dog. LSU won last year because Iowa upset South Carolina last year.
Right.
That's when
Right.
Caitlin Clark really, because she had that 40-point game last year. But I think South Carolina is that's the new UConn right now because they only lost one game in 3 years,
Yep.
2.5 seasons. So that's more credit to Don Staley. So I think now with this win, this title win that she just had, she's up there with the Gino Auriemmas. Hell, you can even put up there with the great men's basketball coach. Not as far as titles yet, but I
Right.
believe she will get there. But as far as her record right now, her winning, yeah, she's up there. What's up, Trey?
Yeah, man. I think she could come back and repeat. I think she can do it again.
I really can because that's what she had a fresh five this year. So what makes you think she get a fresh five next year and redo it again? Caitlin Clark not gonna be there, so it's gonna be interesting. And LSU, you already see them kind of,
Yeah,
one
because
Van Liff already transferring. I believe they're gonna revamp, but I think South Carolina's they
and
gonna still be South Carolina.
their recruit class about to go through the roof.
Mhm.
Yeah. What's up, Trey?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Got
sir.
this
We
little
can.
floating head going on down there,
Hold
man.
on. My phone. Yeah, it's just. Is that better? Is that a little,
Yeah, we can hear you good.
okay? What's up, Shawnee? What's up, BMU? Yeah,
What's
man.
up,
I heard
man?
y'all was talking. Just in reference to what y'all saying. Don Stelly, she's already in the Hall of Fame. Just what she
Yeah,
done did. Short period of
she's a Hall of
time.
Fame I think she's already a Hall of Fame as a player. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think so.
yet as a coach, but she will be as a coach.
Oh yeah,
She will
she's
be.
put her in there. It's just a matter of when she gonna hang it up. I see
She
her
has
doing
success
it.
everywhere she goes. Player, Olympics, coaching, like everything she touches in the basketball world just turns to gold. So
Yeah, and I think just this year, she probably still get the top 5 or 10 best players in the country,
yes,
just
she
based
will.
on what she did this year. Because
She will.
a few people will leave once it come down to it. A few more girls will probably leave. But
But that's what I was just telling Black Man. This she had a whole new five this year
mhm.
from last year. Last year they could have won the title, but they got upset in the Final Four by Iowa. Then this year she got a new starting five, won the championship. So even if I believe she gets a new starting five next year, she at least her team at least make it to the Final Four picture.
But those girls coming off the bench, shoot, they come in contributing. So some of them will move up to starters,
Hmm.
and she'll just revamp. Man, it's gonna be hard to knock her off the pedestal over the next 3 or 4 years, I think, because now, even with whatever players schools getting, NIL is affording players to stay longer. So it'll be interesting to see how it pairs out in the female game
Hmm.
as it will in the males dominant game. So
Well, I
it's
think the thing that's going to change, I think the thing that's behind the scenes that can ultimately have a say so and how many basketball teams go about their business, especially when it comes to recruiting, is the whole conference realigning that their respective football programs are doing over there. You know, the football
Yeah.
programs over here moving all these different conferences, and some of them going across the country, like the West Coast schools going over to the Big Ten. Well, they
Let's go.
taking the whole athletic facility over there, basketball, golf, everybody. So that's going to affect recruiting in a way.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, negative, positively. I don't know. That's yet to be seen.
Shadi,
All those people that should be moving just because the football programs want to
yeah,
move.
it depends on how you look at it because now that they're in the Big Ten, now those schools in the Midwest, they coming all the way to your town to recruit your players. So it depends on how you look at it and vice versa. So I'm interested to see how it works out. It's going to be, I think the games are going to start leveling out. You probably won't see too many more dynasty type, Alabama type teams no more. That's always in the hunt every year. I think it's going to just sort of level itself out because one of the top quarterback recruits, he's going to SMU.
Yeah, but
So
I guess it's still it could be like A&M. A&M is towards like the top 5 or 10 always in recruiting class, but they don't really. It's not like they're really doing that much with them. I believe in college sports, it's a whole lot more about the coaches.
yeah,
And a lot of
pretty
these
much.
coaches, these mainstay, just extremely successful coaches, they're the ones. College basketball is Nick Saban, um, what's Dabo Sweeney for a little bit, but Dabo is stuck in the old days. He don't want to use that transfer portal, and that's the way college football is today. Because he don't want to use that, he getting kind of left behind compared to which
Yeah.
I can understand because coaches. That's one of the reasons why Nick Saban got out. I believe that's one of the reasons that Jay Wright, when his team, they just made it to the Final Four, I believe, and then he retired because this college game is just changing with the whole NIL and stuff. It's not like normally when a coach had to recruit a player, they recruit and okay, if they one and done, they pretty much probably know that by their first year they're gonna be one and done.
Mhm.
But they just go to the league. But now they have to recruit a player to come to their program and then recruit that same player to stay in their program. They got to do a whole lot, and it's not the way the games, both football, any college sports really, but really football and basketball, it's not the way they came up with, and a lot of these big changes are happening in the later years of their career.
Mhm.
So they were like, yeah, I don't, this is just too much. Which cause I still believe right now this whole NIL thing in college sports is like the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And until they can, I could see how. I know a lot of people on the outside be like, yeah, players should get paid, but it's still got to have some type of order to it. And right now, it's just all over the place. And I'd be like, I always thought a college coach's job was hard, but that whole NIL deal, they got to track all that. And I'm like, damn, man. I want players to get paid in college, especially with their likeness. But because it's no order right now, it can cause chaos for the organization. So,
Yeah, because from a player standpoint, of course we older looking at these younger guys
hmm
and just the emotional state of it's going to be hard to not see a few divas emerge in the college game. The guys that just feel like they're above everybody else and start being a little bit too much. I think that's yeah. So it's going to be interesting over the next few years. I think the older coaches actually know what's going to happen. So instead of just trying to fight it, they just decide to just, it's time to lead the game. I think Dabo Sweeney, he probably got a few more years because with the NIL, again, it doesn't matter what school you go to. You're going to get
hmm
paid, especially if you go to like if the number one recruiting football goes to SMU, then he's the man at SMU. So all things come through him. All the profits
And
come through him.
SMU, they may not be a major football program, but one thing they do have is alumni with money, because
That's all you.
SMU is in probably I want to say South Lake, but it's definitely in the richest part of Dallas.
That's
So
all it. That's all it
yeah,
takes.
so it's a small area in Dallas that school is in, and it's alumni. They have money. They have good. That's why they was getting in trouble. They was during the whole Pony Express days, because
Yeah.
their alumni has so much money. They're boosters and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
but they definitely have some money for that. But so you
How long?
brought
How
up
long? How long
oh,
were
go
they?
ahead.
How long were they? Did they like their football team stop? They stopped playing football for a
That
while.
death penalty. The
Yeah.
death penalty was for 2 years. Death
Oh.
penalty is 2 years, but because it literally suspends everything as far as
Mm,
football program, yes, by year 3 they was able to have a team back up again,
right.
but they literally had to start from the bottom, because a lot
Yeah.
of their players, the program got put on death penalty, but the players were given permission. This is before the whole transfer portal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They was given permission where if they transferred to another school, I think they was able to play that next year. Some on that note.
Yeah.
So a
I
lot
remember.
of them went. A lot of them went. They left the program. So, and of course, death penalty affect their scholarships or the future scholarships. It took them,
Yeah.
that whole death penalty happened in the 80s. I think it took them a while for their scholarships to even come into play, all the way into the 90s.
Yeah. I
So
think
it,
it's.
it, it hurt them a long, long time.
Yeah. I remember
Even
that.
though it's only 2 years, the actual penalty, but
Mm-hmm.
that collateral damage it had, yeah, they since have gotten over it, but it's still kind of in the fumes a little bit, because they just never able to reach that level they had when they had Eric Dickerson and all that. But
Yeah.
you brought up the players and stuff like that, and the players' sense of entitlement, especially with this whole NIL, brings me to the next topic that the whole thing that's going on in Colorado. So to fill everybody in, Coach Prime received an email from one of the University of Colorado professors, and I guess this professor had a lot of his football players in there. And basically in the email, and Coach, he was reading it. Had his teams be having a team meeting, so he had it on the overhead or whatnot, presentation board, and he was reading the email he received from the professor, and he was basically saying how the players was basically, they was not trying at all, to the point where I think the professor had to repeat stuff like 3 or 4 times just to get them to understand anything. There was distractions. There was, distracting the other students from learning and whatnot. They just didn't care. So Coach Prime, he addressed it in a team meeting or whatnot. And I remember so Stephen A. Smith, everybody know he'd be on First Take, but he also has this YouTube
Yeah. The
channel. He
podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
that podcast he started now, and he was mentioning it is true. I don't, and you saw this, and this was my thing during the season with Colorado, and I guess you can really see it if anybody. It was just so blatant, because the team only won one game the season prior, and you can see when they started having that that early success. Oh, it went to those players' heads. It
Of
went to those
course.
players' heads. Now, Coach, he was allowing like the celebrities and stuff in the locker room and stuff like that. Me, I can understand. I guess I'm a mixture of between the new school and the old. I had no problems with the celebrities being there, but I would have let them stop, you know, on the sideline, not in the locker room.
Yeah.
In the locker room, because the locker room, especially in sports, that's more of a sacred area. A lot of times, whatever happened in the locker room. Now, a lot of
Yeah.
people leak out stuff what happened in the locker room, but it did not used to be like
Yeah.
that back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Correct.
So, but you letting them celebrities in there and all that, so that got to the players' heads, and basically when it's all said and done, they only finished with winning 4 games, and towards the mid to the late end of the season, they were just getting beat by these teams.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they didn't accomplish anything, and then but some of them do have NIL money. I believe Shador. Not saying he's one of the students that was mentioned in the from the email. I think he is either number 1 or 2 in current collegiate athletes with an NIL deal.
Yeah.
That dude getting paid.
Yeah.
So
Over $2 million. I know it's over $2 million.
10 was it 2? Was it
Yeah,
2?
it's over 2. I thought it was 3, but it's sort of close to 3.
I thought it was between like Mr. Bennett. I thought it was close between like 3 to 10, something like that. It's up there. You like,
Yeah.
damn, a college, but that NIL, he is up there. But
Testing one,
you
two.
can see, obviously, and he's not the only player on that team getting that NIL deals.
No.
But yeah, they were stealing themselves a little bit too much. They didn't want to do right in the class, so coach had to call them out.
When I was at Mississippi State, I don't know if you remember Fred Smoot. Mississippi State played
cornerback.
No, he defensive back.
Yeah, defensive back.
Played for the Vikings. I had a health class with him and a lot of the football players. Right, it was like a health. And I was in school, so I have a daughter. She was like 6. I used to take her to class with me. And she was independent. She used to go back there and sit with them, and man, they would cut up in class, man. I mean, an hour and a half every Tuesday and Thursday. Wasn't no work getting done with them. Wasn't no work getting done. He was back there clowning. Everybody around her was clowning. Got her laughing. She ain't even supposed to be in the class, but the teacher bring her into class. She up falling out of her seat laughing at these guys and clowning. So I can understand you get football players together like that. It's just unfortunate that they don't take it serious enough in that moment, because you'll never get that time back. And if you get out of college 4 years in without a degree, you're really putting yourself at a disservice, even if you do play football. Because if you don't make it in the NFL or even these new leagues, what you gonna do? You're always gonna be working at Amazon delivering packages. You're gonna fall into the same dynamic as most other, former athletes. So it's important to get that education now.
I think some of them, I guess if they know they're going to have some, I don't want to say some sort of success, but if they know they're going to be, if you're a high pick, you're pretty much going to be in the league at least 5 years because somebody's going to be willing to, even if you go somewhere first and it doesn't work out, as long as you plan, there's always going to be another team that thinks they can get you back to what you were in college. You may have one more chance. So you may have at least 5 years in the league. So some of them just don't, like, man, I know I'm about to go to the league for at least 5 years. I know some of them be taking the most least easiest path in college, which I understand. I mean,
who wouldn't do that?
Yeah, if you going to go, you going to be making money. And I'm not saying you not even have to get a huge contract, but your contract can be like $3 million for that a year, and that's more money than probably any of your classmates going to get in their lifetime. So you already pretty much, if you do it right, you can build your generational wealth. Of course, you gotta do some business and stuff like that. But you already have a network that you can reach out to. Because if I was a professional athlete, I always say this, especially in basketball, and I know it's going away from what we were talking about, but if I was a professional basketball player and you literally have a dude, because usually in professional sports, if a player is going to be a successful businessman, it's after they playing career. Magic Johnson, it was basketball career. Okay, then he became a real good businessman. Chauncey Billups, was it Chauncey Billups? It was another. He's a former basketball player, but then now he has a whole lot of franchise of Wendy's, either Wendy's or Burger King. I forgot his name. But he's successful. But it's still after his playing career.
It's not Greg Anthony, is it? It's not Greg Anthony. Greg Anthony?
No, I got to look at that. I got to look at it.
Because he was one of the first guys I know that sort of became an entrepreneur while he was in college. He talks about how I don't know what he was selling in college, but it made him a lot of money. And when he went to the NBA, he was pretty much, doing pretty well for himself.
Junior Bridgman, that's his name.
Yeah, Junior Bridgman. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's successful. I think he owns about.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he used to jump. He used to be able to jump like 47 inches too.
Yeah, so
Vertical.
he's a real good entrepreneur now, and of course this came after his play. But that saying all that, you have a current LeBron James, like he is literally he's already worth $1 billion because of course he's still playing, but he also has successful businesses, opportunities and whatnot while he's playing. And if I was a player, because nowadays, especially in the NBA, they reach out to each other all the time, especially in the off season. I'll be trying to go pick his brain, and that's other. Andre Iguodala was huge in like the IT field and business and that. He was very successful in that. It's a lot of NBA players that you can reach to grow your own portfolio when it comes to after your playing career. So if I was just one of them dudes who made a small amount of money compared to them, make like a $3 million a year, I'd be going immediately to one of them boys and trying to figure out how to, have a success in business like that. So
But
that's why I'm
LeBron,
going back to say you don't need all that college degree because you're gonna be
right?
in a world where it's gonna be open to you.
Well, see, LeBron James did it smart. He took those that were around him, his closest buddies, and he put them in positions to get what they needed, whatever certifications, whatever thing they needed to become legitimate businessmen. And that just makes, just builds his brand even more, because they all work together as a team. I think, it's one thing for us to get together and turn up and toast, but when you bring in together young minds like that to come up with ideas to create more wealth from where you are, I think that speaks volumes within itself. It's shared. A lot of his stuff is shared. And I think that's what gives him much success because he's always trying to at least help those who may be less fortunate.
What's up, Mr. Banner? We just talking about basically stemming from the whole Colorado storyline and how if the players were there was a sense of entitlement. The email that came from the professor.
Yeah, I saw that. And I saw that some of the I was on the well-off media side. I was looking for the whole video. I don't know if they've necessarily released that, but some folks got a hold of it, so that might have been leaked video because I don't know if he necessarily wanted that shared on his son's platform. You guys hear me? Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, we hear.
Yeah. So yeah. It to me it is sort of like a two-edged sword especially with the well-off product because I think I said this last year. I don't know if that medium necessarily shows the players necessarily in the best light because you see a lot of stuff like sort of on the sideline, the way they talk to one another. It seems like are they really taking the endeavor seriously? You hear a lot of motivational stuff coming from the coaches and from Prime, but the players themselves, it's just a game to them. It's not, Prime is talking about, thinking about the next level and everything. But these guys are like, I don't know how seriously they're actually taking. You don't see, at least in the finished product, you don't see the grind. You don't see these guys like really, working hard and dedicated. It's just, on our sideline cracking jokes and la and stuff like that. But I don't see these guys, you show these guys in their weight room, like really just grinding, like really, getting it in. So, when I heard about the sort of the goofing off in class, again, he might have, put those guys on Front Street or whatever, but where's the, and I guess it's spring. I don't know how long ago this was, if this was something fairly recent, but, is he going to discipline these players? Or what's going to be the consequences for that? And I think, if you're building up in these guys' heads also, the two-edged sword is, okay, not everyone's going to be, again, the NFL is the 1% of the 1%. You know what I'm saying? 1% of high school players go to play D1 ball. And out of that, 1 or less than 2% go to the NFL. So if all these guys are having these dreams like, oh, well, class isn't important because I'm going to be in the NFL, you don't even know if you're going to be a dog. It's more than likely you're only going to have a couple players, probably 3 guys off that team on this current roster may go to the NFL. So for everybody else, you better be thinking about something else besides football if you really want to, have a successful life. But if the dream is the NFL or you're going to be on this next level or whatever, then I don't know how productive that is. So I think he's certainly doing things differently, but at the end of the day, it's got to show with the results on the field. And unfortunately, this is a distraction where it's becoming a distraction within the classroom. So I think it's a bad look on Prime because his whole thing when he came into Colorado was about changing the culture. The reason why he got rid of those players is because they were 1-11, and they were like, well, you guys don't appreciate why you're here. But now it's like, do the players that he selected, got rid of most of all those other players. These are the guys that he brought in. Do they appreciate the opportunity that they have at Colorado? So I don't know how much of the culture has changed by by the things that he's doing. Now I know he just brought in. I just watched his last one. The Warren Sapp is now a member of the coaching staff now. So I don't know, but just like I said, looking at if you watch the well-off media videos, I don't know how bought in a lot of these players are. It just seems like this is like a reality TV show, and the reality is this is your life, and this is you're either going to be playing on the next level, or you're going to be getting a regular job. You're going to have to graduate. You have to do all these things. But it's like a lot of the videos I see and hear, they just have no, it's almost like they're glad to be there. So I don't know, what's how this speaks to the culture that he's created there.
They just have an old prime time, ain't they?
Yeah, but not everyone's prime, and that's the point.
Yeah,
Prime can say what he does and do what he do because of the results that he ultimately produced.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're on that level, you're not going to do that. If they have another losing season, if they miss a bowl or maybe win 5 games or whatever, 1 game more than last year, I don't see how this reflects him. Then he's talking about his sons, Shador going Shador and his other son going top, basically top 5 in the draft next year. I'm like, I don't see how that's going to transfer. And so, I think you have to show something else besides just, the speaking into existence. The results ultimately have to manifest on the on the field. So yeah, I thought that was a bad look. And if he again, I'd be very interested. Again, what was the ultimate discipline of those plays? Because I don't think we're gonna see that full video. Someone leaked that video somehow, and I don't think the final. I don't think I don't think that's gonna come out.
Well, I think Prime, because he was doing this even when he was at Jackson State. He's always given a lot of access, media access, as far as because his son films just behind the scenes and stuff was going to school. He's always been very open and not willing to share what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And that's always been his personality, though. Prime, even when he was playing, when he was coming from college at Florida State, that's always been his personality. But one thing that as many times he was in front of cameras, how cameras just came to him, you never questioned his production on the field because he was always producing. Well,
right.
Fast forward in today's time, a lot of his boys, they used to it. They grew up in this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really not saying about them. But the other players, many of them wasn't really used to all this attention. Came up with all this attention, from just always having camp. And I was telling Trey, all these celebrities he be having in the locker room and all that. So it goes to their heads. So I would say it went to their head because now you're seeing it going. Even though it's not even football season now, and they didn't really accomplish anything the first year.
Right.
But now it is going, rubbing off into the classroom. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. Because I really wasn't surprised when the news came out because
Yeah. Do
they
you guys actually watch the well off videos? Like I go through
not really. I
seasons.
just see them, when a clip randomly pass, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
but
about them, but I don't watch them
Yeah,
yeah,
all that they come out.
that's
but
the
it's worth noting. Just watch, like, especially one of the long ones, like a 15-20 minute one, and I
Hmm.
think that really kind of gives you sort of like an idea of what the players are doing. So at least the videos that I mean, some deal with the coaches, some deal with the players or whatnot. But I think that kind of gives you a sense of where these guys heads are at, and yeah. So yeah, I like I said, I think it's a double-edged sword in terms of whether or not are we showing the best of what a successful football program goes like is like, or is this another reality show?
Yeah.
and you really, when you really look at it, back when Dion played, there was media, but it wasn't as glorified as it is today. So everything is glorified to these players, and plus Dion brings a lot of attention. But I don't think necessarily his players can handle that type of attention that he brings. Not all of them. You see it, and they're young. So when we looking at it, you're like, oh man, they doing a whole bunch of extra. But also, as a coach, it's good that a professor would come to you before it shit got out of hand. Because you would hate to have it come September, October, 7 of your best players are ineligible because they in there clowning in class and, end up like Angel Reese. So, a week or two missing in college football could definitely just ruin your whole season. So it's best to get a nip on that now. They'll pay for it at some point. So, or they'll be back home because football's always recruiting. That's for sure.
So, Mister, you brought up in the little Facebook chat we had going. You brought up the topic. One topic was Bronny James officially declaring for the NBA draft, but he declared for the NBA draft while at the same time entered the transfer portal. So I guess that will allow him to put his toe over the NBA draft. If he don't really like what he see, he's still eligible for college basketball. Um, so basically, how I feel, it was it was always the James's plan, because LeBron made it no secret that he always wanted to play with his son, and so that's the fact that his son declared so early, even though he was only averaging 4 points a game at
Right.
USC. I'm still not surprised. Now the interesting thing to me is I don't know if this is under normal circumstances where he probably stay a year or an extra year, but you remember before the season started, he had that heart thing that
Right.
happened,
Right.
and I don't know if that played a part in him not as playing as much his first year at USC. Because they was, trying to monitor all that. I was surprised that he was playing at all last year because, that heart thing is just serious. It's just sneaky. A lot of times it be surprising everybody because you go through all these physical stuff, you don't see nothing wrong, and then all of a sudden, bam, it hits you on the court, and if you blessed enough to make it on the other side, it didn't take you out, and some of them, they able to come back and resume their playing career. It'd be hard to me. It'd be hard to kind of shake that out your head because it can happen again. You just don't know what will spark it from happening again. But he played that one season. Like I say, he only averaged 4 points a game, and then declared for the draft. So I think LeBron's contract ends this year, and I'm pretty sure it depends on where Bron. Because somebody gonna draft James, even if it's a second round, because they're gonna try to draft Bronny so his dad can follow. So
Mm,
whatever team draft Bronny, that's I believe even if LeBron probably only signs a 1 year contract, but I don't know. But
right.
that's gonna be the next team that LeBron will sign for. So the Lakers better hurry up and try to do whatever they can just to sign. They want to keep LeBron. So
I
wherever
guess so.
Bronny going, I think LeBron will be going.
I get, it's interesting. Like you have it's almost just like another story. We were just talking about Prime and his sons, and now you have LeBron and his son. And I'm just wondering, um, this overall when you had like legendary players, Michael Jordan and whatnot. His sons never made it to the NBA, not even close to that. And you just wonder, like, are the expectations on these sons of these players, how much of that weighs in terms of not only the advantages that they've had, but even with all the advantages that they haven't had to necessarily success. Bronny's not projected to have the success that LeBron had, but we want to. Um, you want to see how these things pan out. I mean, look, I hope all these guys do well. Certainly at the next level if that's what they endeavor to do. But when does it come to a point where the sort of like you just get this sense of nepotism that
Mhm.
things are expected to kind of go their way because of who their fathers were, and then what is the identities of these sons? Are they going to at some point in time feel a certain way about how much they want their father's influence to get them to that level, and are they going to be successful at it? Because it's like all these guys, it's like a generational discussion we have all the time, right? It's like you had to work hard and overcome a lot of things so your kids have a better life, but
Mhm.
then are your kids in some way softer because of the life that you gave them? Are they going to have that drive, that hunger to it's like you did it because you had to eat. These guys don't have to worry about eating. And so what is going to be the motive for them to do the hard stuff and make the sacrifices that their fathers did in order to be successful? But you don't see too many. I mean, I see in the NFL right now, you see the McCaffreys, seem to be doing well. I mean, the running back for San Francisco, and now his brother is considered to go. It's like a second, third rounder, possibly maybe a fourth rounder in the draft. I know the Steelers have been looking at him a little bit as far as possibly picking him up. But that's you have those stories, you have the Bosas and whatnot, but you don't. But when your father is like the guy, when your guy is like the megastar, that's a lot to live up to. And so you just hope that these guys don't feel that pressure, and then, like I said, they can find their own identity
Mhm.
and possibly plot their own course. But it seems like especially the talk that Dion was saying, it's like he's already got all this worked out. He already said we're not playing in cold cities, we're not going here. So just like he told teams back in the day, don't draft me. He's already got this plan figured out where he wants these guys to go. And now are they with that 100%? I don't know. We're not in on those conversations, but just getting back to Bronny, how much of this is what he wants, and again, what is going to be, um what's this going to mean for his career long term going forward. So that's the thing. I think about the Ball family, right? I mean, that was like the
Yeah.
big up. Those guys constantly hurt. They can't stay on they can't stay on the court, but you
They
heard all the
constantly
hype
hurt.
that
And think about it, it's always about their ankles, their
yeah,
lower legs. I'm like,
yeah. Now he
why
did
y'all
make a
go through the
point
same
this
thing?
week that I kind of agree with a little bit. We talked about like you see a lot of the training that a lot of these guys get in the NBA. Like when he had him in Chino Hills, they were like running hills and lifting weights and doing like a lot of stuff. Now it's like the NBA, everything is about band work and whatnot. But is that making players stronger or not? I don't know. I mean
Well,
the
I
Weaker.
there's a million
I guess
discussions about
that
the
could
training
be
protocols, but
a
No,
legit point for somebody, but it's his bloodline that keep having these ankle and foot injuries. And you
no.
don't see this all over the NBA. It's just his three boys all had these foot injuries. I'm like, it may just be hereditary. Maybe they just got weak ankles or something, like Steph
No,
yeah,
Curry.
they ain't got no damn calf muscle. Hell, this little weak calf muscle is just straight leg. You
yeah.
ain't got built up tendons and muscles around them ankles. Everybody
Yeah,
gets
so Trey, so I mean, you've coached, so something about the weight room or whatnot. What do you think of some of these more modern? And this is kind of off the cuff, but what do you think of these modern training protocols now that are you don't have these guys again in the gym? They're not in the squat rack. They're doing bands. They're doing all kinds of flexibility drills and balance drills and stuff like that. But are they really building up their bodies to be strong for the grind of the season? So what do you think about what's going on with what you're seeing in the areas where you've coached and just strength training overall?
Now one of my biggest, it was my pet peeve, that players work on flexibility. Just because when you're playing sports, your body's contortion in all kinds of ways, from your ankles all the way up. So flexibility was big in football. It was more of I saw you get your workout on, and that's things like that. You do your bench, your incline, your deadlift, your squat, your lunges, your neck. I remember the big neck machine. This is back in the day.
Yeah. I remember that.
Everybody
I
walk
remember
around
that.
with a big neck, and you work on your pecs, your triceps, everything that was going to give you some power, your legs, your quads, all that played a factor. Then you might have ran some, because dudes are 6'3", still running 4.5, 4.4.
Yeah,
Hell, that was
for sure.
decent back in the day. And in basketball, it was like, you see some players, how they evolve with their body over the years. They more shoulder built and more broad, not too much in the leg, because I think it's important though. You must do some weight, maybe out on the off season where you can build up that muscle, but during the season you should be about flexibility, some strength, but not as the bulk. Because this is what it just amazes me. People always say, "Well, when you lift weights, it throw your shot off." Hell yeah, to throw your shot off if you go out there and try to put up 50 shots right after you lift weights.
Yeah.
But if you can, because we used to lift weights Monday, maybe shoot Tuesday, lift Wednesday, shoot Thursday, lift Friday. It never threw my shot off.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't just do it right after you work out. So, but I think
think
flexibility is important. It's one of the biggest things. Flexibility.
I think flexibility is important for all sports because it help prevent injuries.
Yes.
But I don't know if they still do it, but y'all remember that whole ESPN body issues for the magazines? They had a lot of the professional athletes in various sports, and they were posing. I used to like that because you see how what exercises these players focus on based on their sports. Swimmers tend to have like a very broad upper body, like shoulders and chest, all that. The swim strokes they're doing, and they real toned. Same thing with tennis. Tennis is like very toned, and because they got to do like that quick explosiveness from side to side and all that.
Yeah.
Of course,
their calves would be huge.
Yeah. They
Yes,
got to
sir.
change direction all the time, just the whole time, stick and change. And like Trey was mentioning, football is all about power, but football it also varies on what position. Linemen, they gotta be powered. They gotta have hella footwork because they gotta stay low and all that. Try not to get, especially offensive linemen.
Right.
Then it varies when you get more to the skill position players and whatnot. Basketball, so it just lifting weights. All of them lift weights, but then they do go. It will vary to an extent because I don't think none of them lift weights as much as a football player do. Because football's a different.
Well, of course.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I don't see a lot of guys lifting like they're kind of moving away, or they're not doing like the traditional moves. They're using kettlebells.
There's a whole lot more creative these days compared.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's necessary because you see these guys, and I'm pleasantly surprised at Wembyama that the season that he had. But I'm just looking at his body, and I'm just like, that body can snap like a twig, like at any point in time. Because again, you see these guys, got these really lean physiques, but I worry sometimes about can they really take the rigor of like I said, an 82 game season if they don't build up some strength, in some
With
ways.
that point you just made, Mr. Bennett, I think Wembanyama said that's the way they worked out. Because people told him that in the past, like, hey, you need to bulk up, but they said, no, this is how we train. Like, this is the body that we work for, and you can see it when he's on the court. He's him and Chet Holmgren, because Chet is like 7'2" himself or whatnot. They both real agile for these big men. Now, when it comes to Wembanyama, remember Yao Ming was about the same height as him, maybe an inch taller.
Right.
Yao Ming was almost 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was nimble. He had good, feet for a man his size, but he obviously was carrying more weight than Wemby is.
Yeah.
So, and obviously with with Rockets, his career he didn't have that long of an NBA career,
right?
Because his body started breaking down. Plus, he was playing a lot of basketball, both here in America and back home.
But that's just a lot of wear. I mean, just physically. I mean, that's just a lot of wear on your foot.
But Wemby's body looked like it could potentially. Well, I don't know what trade and change it to. Wemby's body looked like it could potentially, was as far as the 82 game of a regular season, because his body looks more lean and just looks like more. He can freely now when it comes to banging, in the paint. Obviously, he probably not gonna, but he don't really have to because he's athletic and he has a size. So he already putting up blocking numbers. I think haven't been seen since the days of Elijah Wan.
Yeah,
I think they go tone him up. In the end, he'll probably be a mixture between Jason Tatum and Giannis. In the end,
Giannis had a big transformation.
I think they go transfer him. They go get him out there. Watch, when he come back next season, it's gonna look like a whole different guy because they gonna get him together. He gonna get them together.
Work with his already his trainer now and just figure, hey, we want to add a little bit more muscle, but I'm sure he don't want to add too much because he wants to keep his his lean like Kevin Garnett. What I remember by him, he was strong, but Garnett had he wasn't skinny.
No.
He had a very lean body. Like his body was just
his body fat was like 5%.
Exactly. So he was, and you could see it the way he played on the court. That's why he was able to, he was so swift when he was moving and whatnot. But I just remember compared to other body types, of his position when he was playing, it's not like they was just bigger, but they was not as lean. Even Duncan, he wasn't as lean as Garnett. Garnett just looked like he was just super toned and whatnot.
Yeah.
He had them longer type muscles, I guess.
He's kind of similar to KD, but more muscular than KD.
Yeah.
But still that same body frame. Like if KD got serious and wanted to put on some muscle in the gym, he would transform his body into a Garnett type of physique. That's like the basic, but he didn't spend a lot of time in the weight room.
Yeah, but over long term, the weights don't really affect your shot. Especially if you're doing it in the off season and it doesn't really affect your shot. Most people think it does, but when I was lifting weights all the time, playing football, I went from football to basketball. It did not affect my shot.
Right.
No, it did not affect my shot because I had a good form, first of all. Yeah.
Well, it's always, Well, I mean, I think fitness in general is always evolving. I mean, it's like, 'cause I remember even to when I played ball in the mid 80s, I graduated 87, and coach was like, no weightlifting or whatever. And then you saw a trend where everybody was in the weight room or whatnot. You saw Michael Jordan, he got serious and, going up against the Pistons every year. So he's like, look, I need to put some weight on. You could tell by the end of his career, he was way more muscular than he was in the beginning of his career. But at the same time, he wasn't Air Jordan anymore. He was like kind of half court Jordan, and he post you up more. But it wasn't like he was jumping from the free throw line anymore to dunk the basketball. But he felt he needed that size in order to compete with the Pistons and the Cavaliers and all those physical teams that they had to go against. But now I think things are definitely moving more to, they call functional training, the balance, the flexibility. So it seems like we're in a new era now where you're not having guys do this the heavyweight. So I think fitness is always going to evolve to a certain extent, but you just wonder, with the sort of trend that's going on, are guys more likely to be injured or not? And certainly, like I said, with the Ball brothers, you know, um, you know, could they benefit from a more traditional program rather than you know, the more exotic programs that you're seeing right now? So it's just, yeah,
It just with them, it looks like it's really they can't really get a chance to, especially uh who not the oldest one,
oh,
uh
Lonzo,
Lonzo, especially him. He can't even get a chance to try any type of new workout or whatnot because like he injures himself, and as soon as he do anything, he get injured right back again. It's a longer injury, so he don't even have a chance to try to do these new workouts or hey, let's try to strengthen this part of your body up more because it's just it I don't know his body just not made like that. I'm looking at
yeah,
the comments now saying Marcus he had a bone to pick about this WNBA and they're not going to be the NBA. And I was like, nah, I don't think they ever going to be in the NBA.
no, but
So that's
I certainly I think we're certainly at a point where if they do it right, because part of the whole thing going back to 79 with Bird and Magic, it wasn't not only the game and the setting for them to, really, raise the popularity of the college game, but then the networks came in. When CBS signed that deal, that new extent 10-year deal, I think with to have the NBA games, their plan was very specific. We're gonna sell Bird and Magic. So you had two games, especially on Sundays. You had two games. The early game was the Celtics. The latter game was the Lakers, and they just built the brand around those players. So if they want to do something with, with these girls, where that's going to be like sort of like the feature. So if whoever runs it as ESPN or NBA TV or whoever runs the WNBA games, I think that's got to be part of the strategy too. If they want everybody to eat, you had this hot player, Caitlin Clark, coming into the league, and you already had player Taurasi from UConn. She was already saying, look, she's in for a rude awakening. But at the same time, it's like everybody needs to understand, look, we got an opportunity here because we barely making money now. But if everybody sort of cooperates, I'm not saying let her beat you or whatever, but if everyone cooperates, we can certainly build the brand and the expectation of the NBA. And so, so this is something that the powers that be, if they play this right, I think they can really help to popularize the ladies game. I don't think it'll ever catch the men, but I think certainly the ladies would be looking something a lot better than what they have right now.
Brother Bennett, everybody will get the memo. Everybody's going to get that memo. They're going to get that memo.
No hard fouls.
Because, she's doing things that you really hadn't seen, as far as her shooting ability. So she's going to get the respect in the WNBA. It just has to happen for the WNBA because she's bringing a whole new audience. She's bringing a little more excitement, and they gonna give that to her just to see what she can do. But I don't think that she's gonna be all in as far as okay, this is my life with the WNBA. I think she has other things she's more interested in outside of just playing basketball.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of the WNBA players can do that because when their season's so short and they don't get paid as much as
that's why they got to play overseas and all these other leagues.
You don't really see, you don't really see them just be. They love the game. They give it, the 3 months, I believe, 2 or 3 months they play it that season, and then they off to doing something else. But same thing. People were saying the same thing about the women's college game, how they didn't see that growing, especially to the level of the men. And with the men, the players keep leaving early on the men's side. It's the women's side. They don't really do that. They stay at least 3 seasons.
Yeah,
many times. So a lot of time their game you'll know, like, especially you saw it this year. There was a whole lot more. It wasn't just Caitlin Clark. It was a whole lot more women players recognized by name during the women's March Madness than on the men.
Absolutely.
All throughout the whole tournament.
Absolutely.
You know, you probably nobody besides you really have to follow college basketball to know Zach Edey of Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's because he was the tallest dude on the court. But
Right.
really, he doesn't really get talked about at all, and he potentially could be back-to-back basketball.
He's already won. He's already won.
So he's back-to-back, and you don't hear nothing about Zach Edey unless you just follow that college basketball crowd. But all of a sudden, women, of course you hear a lot about Caitlin Clark. Then you heard, Camila Cordova in South Carolina, Angel Reeves.
Yeah.
The young lady for who was it, Iowa State. You heard Juju Watkins over there at USC. So you had a whole lot of players recognized by names on the women's side. So you saw how that helped the ratings part of it. I mean, they, especially from the Sweet 16 on, the women's ratings was just up there. And so many people were saying that about women's game in college, and then you saw how it grew. At this point now, well, it remains to be seen next year because a lot of those big names are leaving after this year, but you still have some younger names like Juju Watkins and I forget the young lady's name at Iowa State. But they right now with women's college basketball and men's college, they almost neck and neck as far as the popularity because they garner that much attention. Now the WNBA is nowhere near the NBA right now, but I don't think they're going to be at the level of NBA, but I definitely believe they can get higher than they are. They just need some key players to come and grow that game. Because I was watching that, especially that championship game with Iowa and South Carolina. It was hard to turn away from that game because it was going back and forth. The women. One thing you do see, of course, the men are more athletic, but them women sometimes they show like they could be more skilled, whether their shooting ability, because they don't play with the ball as much as the men do. You see a whole lot more offensive sets in women's game.
Yeah.
I was different because I was basically Clark. Here you go, but take us there. But even Clark, you saw her passing ability. It's like elite. Just her players wasn't finishing after she was delivering the passes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the WNBA, I think with these new crops of players and every professional player that's already in the league is going to say that about an up and coming young player that's coming into whatever you did over there in college, ball, you don't expect that to do that over here in the pros. And a lot of times they often prove themselves when they get in the professional ranks. That goes with every young player in the basketball world, football world. Sometimes they're the truth. But I noticed that women's basketball post players, their game seems it's easier for their game to translate from college to the pros more than a perimeter. Perimeter is a little bit harder.
You think so?
Yeah, because post players, if they're big in college, they're gonna be big in WNBA.
Yeah, but think about the guards that's come out in college. I mean, out of college and went to the WNBA. They still had a pretty good career over the last 5-6 years. Those guards that come out.
Yeah, but I think it's just harder for them to establish themselves more because a lot of times you go many times and until the Asia Wilsons and stuff like that, WNBA, their perimeter players, their skill level is higher. It's high. So when you try to come into, from the college game, because it's kind of weird to say because college women's game coming into the WNBA if you're a good perimeter player, you're gonna be met with another good perimeter player on the other side of you,
Yeah.
more than likely. Now, when you go to the post, if you are a good college post player, you're gonna get into. It's not every day, every game. You're gonna also go against a player of your caliber in the WNBA as far as posts. They just may be a big body. It's kind of similar to the NBA, but the NBA they kind of offset it because they can be real athletic. They're just not an offensive. Cause a lot of post players in the NBA are not offensive. That's not their role. It's
That's
just
because
basically
they
run the
don't have
court
the
and defense.
technique.
But if you put an offensive big man in NBA, they take advantage of them because it's damn near a unicorn now. But it's starting to grow. It's starting to grow because the last 3 MVPs have all been centers. 2 for Jokic, 1 for Embiid. So, and that it's starting to the center's starting to be recognized again. But in WNBA, like Cardoso, I believe she will have the success that she had in college. I believe she's going to have that success in WNBA too, as far as on the board. Because unless it's got Asia Wilson, it's hard for me to think of some other good post players in the WNBA.
Jacqueline Jones. They got a few.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't think she's gonna see them every night.
Yeah,
So
she goes.
she's already a beast on the board, and she got good footwork in the
like
paint
Brittany
now. I believe
What's going on,
she's
Trey?
gonna.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, Trey? I
What's
believe her game's gonna translate over. Because what's her name? Taraji not gonna be down there holding her. She's too small.
Brittany Griner go be down there holding her.
No, and those every team don't have a post player like that. So I believe it's gonna be more games. She's gonna have an advantage than Brittany Griner. She's definitely gonna be. You have to work for that. You have to work against Asia Wilson. It's just every team. It's not gonna be every night you got to go see that competition like that.
You think she'll be Rookie of the Year?
I
Who
think
knows?
if Caitlin,
It would be it'd be nice. It would be nice if again if everybody cooperates. Cooperate without beating her up. So I mean that is possible. But I think the second half of that game, I think they definitely shot. I mean, she was hot in the first half, and I think they definitely step up. I think South Carolina's size, I think, sort of caught up with those ladies in the second half. So so I think they definitely kind of figured a way out. So yeah, you definitely you can't just don't let her go left. Because she goes left, she's pulling up. So, but I think it's an exciting brand of basketball because I haven't seen a woman who's pulling up from like 30 and stroking it like that. So again, just like Steph Curry revolutionized the men's game. If she can be that kind of transitional player, where now you're going to have people watching the game, so see her because it doesn't matter. That's the thing with basketball. It doesn't matter who's shooting it. If you're, no matter how tall you are, man, if you're stroking it from that distance, then it's exciting to watch. Especially once you get hot and you hit 3-4 in a row, and that's that's definitely something that'll draw eyeballs because very few people can really do that. But what's going on, Trey? What you got? I mean, I saw you was you had a lot of smoke for Caitlin. So what you?
Yeah, because I vehemently disagree. I think a lot of the times there's a lot of hype around college players. And the issue is that we all know that there's a transition when you go to the pros. Everybody's fast and everybody's skilled. That's the reason why they're in the pro league, right? Especially when you have the WNBA, you only got 12 teams? Yeah. You got 12 teams and 12 roster spots. The last time I checked, my math checks out. That means there's only 144 women. So she's not going to be going against women who can't compete. She's going to be going against women who can actually compete. And let me be very clear about something. In college, she got a lot of space to do what she needed to do. A lot of those girls are, and which was surprising to me because typically the women are a little bit more fundamentally sound. They're usually typically more skilled than the men are. But for whatever reason, they were going underneath these picks, and I never understood that. Since when do we go underneath picks for shooters? We never go underneath picks for shooters. In the league, when she gets to the league, they're going to be coached a lot better, and they're going to know. I guarantee you, she's probably going to be guarded. I'd say probably about 85 feet of the court. There's going to be somebody's going to be in her face 85 feet of the court because that's what you're going to have to do. Anytime you want to slow down a Steph Curry, you have to get a little bit more physical with him. And I don't mean physical on when he has the ball. I mean physical when he's on defense. Go back to that Cavs Warriors year where the Cavs won. One of the things that they started to do is they started to put Steph Curry in pick and roll. They made him defend. They made him be physical because that wears him down. He won't be able to shoot. I have a funny feeling a lot of teams are going to take that same approach to Caitlin Clark. They're going to make her play defense, which eventually will wear her down a little bit. And the other, what's her name, Cardoza from South Carolina? Yeah, I don't believe it. Like I said, I mean, you know,
she is kind of lumbering. I mean, 6'7". I mean, it's hard to be for a lady, any lady to be 6'7". That's kind of hard to move that around.
Well, the beauty of the league is the person coming off the bench can cook you for 30. That's what I love about the pros. Is that somebody coming off the bench, the 7th spot can come in and cook you for 30 because they're all good. They're all good. Just because they're in a roll off the bench doesn't mean they can't play. I think that's the common misconception that, oh, you're in the backup row, that means you can't hoop. You guys remember Brian Scalabrine?
Yeah.
They took Brian Scalabrine. They thought he was a scrub. He went down there and go play against some regular dudes, and he cooked them. He absolutely fried them. And this is a guy who was 8th, 9th in the rotation. So, you know, it'll be fun. WNBA needs the hype. They need all the hype they can get. They didn't do anything with Skylar Diggins. They didn't do anything with Sabrina Ionesco. So maybe they can do something with Caitlin Clark. And I think they dropped the ball.
So what's your prognosis for her? All-star, starter, off the bench. What do you think?
No, she'll start. I believe she'll start. I'll be honest with you. It depends on what the machine wants to do. What does the machine want to do? Are they going to push her or are they not going to push her? I think that they will push her. But unfortunately for her, she's going to have to go out there and go play. Like I always say all the time, it's the same thing I say in football all the time. You have to play the game. You got to play the games.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to get when she get out there actually out there on that court. And I do believe that a lot of those women, they're going to take it personally. I know if I was on the opposite team, I would take it personally. Like, y'all gonna push her? Why you not pushing me? And so I got a chip on my shoulder, and I'm going to go defend, and I'm going to defend hard. If I don't play hard no other game, Mr. Bennett, I'm going to play hard that game.
That's going to be the one.
You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Well,
what do you think? What do you think of just the? I'm sorry. What do you think of just the future of women's? Because this is actually, and I don't know. I know a lot has been talked about the growth of the game, certainly in the Final Four, the numbers. But I think has there ever been a year where the women outdid the men? I'm looking at the numbers now. The title game with UConn and Purdue only had 14.8 million viewers, whereas the women's game had 4 million more viewers. I don't think that's ever happened in history.
And it peaked.
That's because the men
at 24.
The men didn't have any star power.
Right.
They had no star power this year. I don't think going forward you're going to see that again. The powers that be, because the truth of the matter is that there's more advertising dollars probably in the men's game. So I don't think going forward you're going to see the lackluster star power going forward. That doesn't mean that the women's game will suffer. I just think that they're gonna make a concerted effort to kind of push stars. I'll say this real quick. This is something the WNBA has to do. This is something that the WWE had to do. I'm gonna make the comparison really quickly. What the WWE did is they got rid of worrying about the actual wrestling matches. And they focused more on the actual stars and building stars. The match could be crap. They didn't care. But Hulk Hogan was going to be Hulk Hogan. Ultimate Warrior was going to be, they built stars. I think the WNBA has to take that approach where they focus less on the actual product of the game and focus on building the stars. I think that's what the college game did this year. I remember watching the advertisements, and it wasn't Iowa versus, it was Caitlin versus such. They focused on the actual stars. And I think that's something the WNBA needs to switch to. Hell, I don't know half the teams in the league anyway. I know who Brittany is. I know who Candace is. You know what I mean? I think they need to focus more on the actual stars. I think if they take that approach, I think they can actually make up some ground and maybe actually have a positive season fiscally for once.
Yeah, no question about it. And again, it's hard in the men's game, especially when you had the one and done going on for so long. It's hard to to focus on a player or see a rivalry, because everything used to be based on rivals, Duke, Carolina, or what have you. And but that's only if those guys stay around. So like back in the 80s, we had Georgetown taking on North Carolina, or UNLV taking on Duke or whatever. I mean, you were looking forward to those rematches from the previous year. But if everyone is just one and done and out, it's hard to even build star power that way. But I think it has to certainly be paired with the ladies sticking around. If they try to go one and done on the WNBA level, I don't think it's going to work. And I think that's ultimately is hurting the men's game. But I don't know what with NIL, can they keep these guys in for at least 2 years? Can they keep these guys at the next level, or are they still going to be out?
Both instead for the women to stay with the NIL. I believe both Caitlin and Angel Reese, I believe they have one more year of eligibility. To come back, but they both decided to go to the league, which is cool. After junior year, by that time, they want the basketball in them want the competition, and that's pretty much the base of what you want to believe every athlete. If you want to make it to the pros, you want to compete against the best.
Right.
You can't say that in today's time. You really can't say that about every player now because some of them just, it's different. It's a different mindset in today's sports world. But, because they really can stay, both of them women, they can stay in school today and probably continue to make more money in school via the NIL than they will be in WNBA. But obviously they want to go to the next level because they want to compete against the best. But I just believe really with Caitlin Clark, she literally came on the scene naturally just with the buzz that she was getting last year. So I remember it was Paige Beckers who was getting that attention. Not as big, but she was getting it. And then
that's one from UConn, right?
Yeah.
This one, she got hurt. Yeah.
And then she got hurt, and then that obviously quieted her down. And then with Clark and just the way she was playing the game, like the girl was pulling up from 30 and just busting it. So I mean that's going to get, and she was doing it on a consistent basis, so that's going to get people's attention.
Well, like I said, that's one of those skills that transfers regardless of who's playing. Exactly. You hit a three from that distance, it's going to get. It's not like, because most women can't dunk, so you're not going to get any buzz from that. But anybody, I don't care if it's a kid, if it's an adult, a senior citizen, you can pull up consistently from that distance or whatever. You're going to get guys. You're going to get people looking at it. So,
and that skill, I believe, will translate to the WNBA because she's a shooter. And I remember we talked about it at the end of the show last week about the GOAT conversation with her. I think her game can be considered one of the GOATs because of her impact to the college game. But I don't think she's going to be she's the greatest of all time as far as a pure women's collegiate basketball player.
Yeah, I don't think you can be in the GOAT without a chip.
You got to win. You got to win.
I think her impact is going to put her up there because
that's good. I mean, you could call her great. I mean, you can say she's a great player, but in the GOAT conversation, that's reserved for the winners.
Yeah, when you going when you comparing resumes, she ain't gonna compare to even Breanna Stewart, who won I think 4 titles during that UConn. I know we talking about South Carolina earlier about they dominated. They still got to go some ways to get to that UConn dominance that they had. Yeah, and Breanna Stewart was a part of that, but I don't remember you see players. Obviously, they give respect to the players that came before them, like the Cheryl Swoops and them that came there. But as great as they were, they still just didn't have this type of impact that Caitlin Clark had. That's why all this attention came to them,
Right.
So,
wait, what impact?
Sonny.
What, just shooting the ball?
Name me a college basketball player, women's college basketball player that had the impact in women's college basketball that Caitlin Clark did. Now, I'm not comparing them. We're not comparing like we're just saying we don't believe that Clark was the GOAT. And you basically talking about you're comparing resumes. But the impact, I don't remember any other women college basketball player that had this type of media access. Damn the media, because I know some of them didn't have the media like today's time. But the eyeballs, we just said, 18 million is 18 million. That's never been seen before. And a lot of that was because of Clark. And then because it followed, a lot of people, that's why ESPN kept having her on that's all the person is talking about in women's basketball.
They had her on because the men had nobody to put up there. If the men had actual stars, there was no stars. Guys, listen, I didn't know who the hell Klingland Klingler was until I watched him play. I had no idea who this guy was. I knew who the guy from Purdue was, but I couldn't tell you who any of these teams were and any of the guys who were playing because for whatever reason this year, the men's league, the men's college basketball did not push any stars. I don't know what that was about. They pushed teams, but they didn't push stars. And I think that's why. So what you have is you have ESPN. Listen, ESPN knows how to make money. They know to push people, not necessarily teams. They push people, and that's why. But here's a true test. The true test of her impact, the true test of anybody's impact, is does it sustain or is it consistent when they're gone?
Yeah.
And if they pull the same numbers next year with no Caitlin Clark, then I would agree with you. But as far as I'm concerned, the jury's still out. But until I see these consistent numbers year after year after year after year, until then, she doesn't have the type of impact. All I see is a woman who adapted some elements of Steph Curry's game to hers by shooting a longer three-pointer than most, which I think will not transfer over into the women's league because I think that those women are going to guard her a lot more closely than she was guarded in college.
But what do you think, though? That's again just like Steph. Then everybody, I mean, definitely his style of play helped to change the game. It made it a lot more open. So again, teams were looking for more shooters. So again, if this encourages girls to develop their outside shot more, and if it becomes a more open game, because like I said, it doesn't matter who Caitlin Clark or whoever it is, if you can shoot like that, I don't even know if women were even given license to say you can take that shot from that deep. It opens up for ladies to say, look, I can do that. Because that was the thing with Steph, because all these guys you can dunk, from the free throw line, all that. Not everybody can be LeBron. But you had all these kids, all these 12 and 13-year-old kids that I could be Steph, I could work on my jump shot. So again, if that inspires a new brand of basketball where ladies don't feel constricted, where they can't take these long range bombs, and if you can get a few more players to be able to hit those shots consistently, then I think that may, draw people to the game. So if her style of play opens it up for others, then I think it can be a positive. But I think there'll be a vacuum next year, no doubt about it.
When you guys get a chance, look at the numbers for long distance shooters. There's but a handful of them in the league that can actually do it. Dame Lillard, Steph, majority of the guys cannot shoot with consistency at a high clip from that range. So that to me, listen, the only thing that changed is how you guard the Warriors. That changed how you guard the Warriors, because you have to remember they also had a pretty daggone good shooter in Klay Thompson, who's also going to the Hall of Fame. So you couldn't double Steph because you didn't want to leave. You couldn't afford to leave one of the other 3-point shooters open. The issue here is that I think that when people see the Steph thing, they think that all the teams are like that. Well, no, that's not how you play against the Wizards or the Hornets. You don't play against them the same way. That was how it changed with the Warriors. Now I do agree. I think that you will have to play Caitlin a certain way when you play against Caitlin. But when you go play against other teams, like what's that girl? I forgot. She plays for Dallas. She pretty cold. She cold for Dallas.
Oh, I know you talking about.
Yeah. You're not gonna guard her the same. And when you go play Las Vegas and Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson and them, you're gonna play them differently. So I think for Caitlin, yes. But as far as
don't you think Caitlin Clark's game is similar to the young lady at Dallas? They have the same type of game and handles. I think it is.
No, Caitlin's a little bit more free with her shot. Like Caitlin definitely. But you also have to remember, I think she had an ultimate green light. Very rarely do players get an ultimate.
Caitlin, that's what I'm saying. Caitlin Clark green light. You could see that from the airplane.
Yeah.
She had that super green light over there.
Yeah, I don't know if
so did Steph.
I don't know if she's gonna have the same green light in the league though.
She gonna have it in the WNBA. Yes,
no, I think she's gonna have to prove it first.
No,
because she's going Indiana. They believe they're gonna draft her. They the worst team.
Indiana got the first pick.
She's gonna have that.
Indiana get the first pick every year. I feel like Indiana get the first pick every year.
Like the Clippers, remember the Clippers every year in the NBA.
She's definitely gonna have that green light because
that's gonna be my Wizards. That's gonna be my Wizards now. My Wizards gonna have the first pick every year for the next 5 years. We are trash, bro. Just straight garbage.
Wow.
But I'm seeing. I'm looking at the comments and I saw. First of all, Scoresource, appreciate the super chat. He mentioned when I was talking about the impact on the game with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Like, Angel Reese wasn't even talked about as Caitlin Clark was. I mean, she was talked about because really Angel Reese was basically. And when I'm talking about just the media attention. She was basically, yes, the aftermath of when they beat Iowa in the championship game. That's when Angel
Right.
Reese was really speaking about more in the media space and social media and all of that. Caitlin Clark was known. She wasn't. It wasn't an action she did. She started her name started being all up in the media because of what she was doing on the court. Because as great as the women that came before her, none of them was pulling up like she was doing. This was new. This was not. You didn't see this in women's college basketball, and because she was doing it at such a consistent level, and both the regular season, well, I'm pretty sure many people not watching no game from in Iowa unless you were alumni from the school. But she was doing it also in the March Madness tournament, where many times, just like in the men's side, you don't know who these players are until they get into March Madness.
Yeah.
And she was doing the same thing in front of a big audience. I was like, okay, now we see, because it came, like I say, she came on the scene, the national scene last year. And then from day one this season, she was on that scene and delivered throughout the whole season. So you just didn't see this before, and the way she was playing, like, I'm watching the LSU game, and Van Lith, unfortunately, that's why I believe that's why she's transferring now. She didn't like the fact they left on the island, but she was literally trying to guard her right side. She got this side step to the left move, and would just pull up right there. And she was just so consistent, had so much success with that move and just with everything shooting the ball. And also another underrated game. I heard this on some podcasts I heard. Yes, her shooting is the thing that gets a lot of attention. But what's really underrated about Clark is her passing ability.
She's a good passer too, yeah.
And like I say, her teammates, unfortunately, wasn't finishing those dimes she was dropping to them in the game versus South Carolina. It probably would have been a different game. But when she's on the WNBA, she's going to have better teammates. So you assume they will be able to finish those passes she be, giving to them. So everybody, of course, her shooting ability is what gets talked about a lot in
well, one feeds the other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the fact that she can pull up from that distance, you got to respect her from the outside. And if she gets in the lane, she can certainly distribute it off. So one certainly feeds the other. But like you said, those players couldn't finish because I think the size of Carolina, finally caught up to them in the end. I think they were just out physical in the second half, and so that was something. But again, a lot is will we be having this conversation if they didn't have that? I don't know what you guys felt about that foul call in the UConn game.
Trash call.
Yeah,
that
was a bad call at the end of the.
You can't make that call.
Yeah.
It was a legit.
I'm not saying it's a legit call, but
like
you don't make it in it. You
It's
swallow
a
your
legit,
whistle.
it's a legit call, Mr. Bennett, but you don't make that call.
I'm saying you swallow your whistle. Yeah.
Because you knew if you made that call at that time, you just changed the out. You just had a outcome of this game. How it's going to be determined.
That's right.
So just let it play. It wasn't.
Somebody put some money on Iowa.
Yeah, it wasn't demonstrative.
Right.
At that time, you didn't have to be. You didn't have to try to go with a perfect 99%, percentage of calling a game. You would have been fine with a 97. Let the game decide itself.
Yeah.
But with refs, they gonna look at the tape and like, oh yes, it was a right call. And, I'm not saying it was she put a little, chicken wing out there, a little one. Like I said, it wasn't drastic. If he would have he would have swallowed the whistle. Nobody would have said anything about that.
But I agree with Gino. You can make that call. You can make that call probably on every possession.
Yeah,
probably
sure.
every possession you could probably. I don't think anybody in any league, even in the high school games, when I used to go to high school games and watch, I don't think anybody sets a proper pick. I don't think anybody sets a proper screen. And I don't think I also was saying this as I was helping a buddy of mine. He's coaching, and we was trying to teach the ball handlers how to actually run off the screen. They don't even know how to run off the screen properly.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to run off the screen properly, then the person setting the screen isn't doing it properly either. But I agree with Gino in the sense of you can literally make that call every single time, every single possession. I just think that at that moment you cannot make that call. You cannot make that call.
And even if UConn won again, that still would have been a great finals game though. Caitlin Clark aside, because now you got Now the story is Gino versus Staley, right? You got the guy
Which is
who's
what we all
considered
want
the
to see.
GOAT. What's that?
I said, which is what we all want to see, actually.
Yeah, the GOAT versus like the up and coming. She's already being discussed in that conversation. She's already on the all-time list in terms of championships. One more, she'll pass she'll tie Mulkey. So that would be a great one also. It's like because I don't think anyone was expecting Gino to get back to the finals. I think a lot of people were saying his ship is sailed, kind of so to speak. So the fact that he's still going to be relevant for a time, he's going to be bringing that player back, and she's going to be there. So again, next year, if it's Dawn versus
is Paige
Gino,
coming back? Paige is coming back.
I think so. I didn't hear she was leaving.
Yeah,
I will tell you this: UConn got three. They got 3 dogs that was injured.
Right.
They got three girls that was injured that'll be coming
Right. So
back.
I'm saying if you play your cards right, if you market this right, Dawn is chasing, the GOAT. So that can be a story next year also that I think that can draw a lot of interest in people. I know you still got to build around the stars, but those coaches, they're in their own ways. They're kind of stars themselves.
They're the stars too, right?
Yeah, Gino was a cocky dude.
I love Gino.
Yeah,
Gino. You know what Gino is? Gino's the villain that's going to tell you how he's going to.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to tell you the end of the movie while he's doing it. Like Gino. Exactly how he's going to beat you, and then. For the most part, a lot of those years with Brianna and all them, he was actually going out there and actually doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
So so y'all know, just so y'all know, Angel Reese career stats: 18 points, 12 rebounds. In the men's game, you one of the top players of the year. So that's our career average from Maryland to LSU: 18 and 12.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how she do in the pros.
There you go. I'll look forward to it.
15 and 10.
But I guess with that, fellas, we got to go ahead.
We got to wrap it up
and close the show because we got another show coming after us. But Trey, appreciate you for joining us today, man. I appreciate
no problem.
Convo.
Yeah. Oh, we would have loved you on last night's show, man. We were they were all over the place last night.
I actually had a date last night and didn't go too bad, Mr. Bennett.
All right. Fingers crossed.
Trey, before we get out of here, man, I know we had Scorched Earth with that $2 super chat. Before we get out of here, Mr. Bennett, I got something for you. I got something for Scorched Earth for that $2 super chat. One of Mr. Bennett's most favorite videos. I'm going to play it right now. Bishop, good joint.
We got probate going on in the church.
I know. Right? Oh my gosh.
We just had all the Greeks crossed over at PV, and I don't know if y'all saw that clip between Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco.
Nah.
Because his daughter was actually one of the AKAs that crossed that PV. So he was there.
Oh I got 2 of them now. My youngest, she just crossed this past Sunday. So I got 2 AKAs, and so pray for me, man. That's all I can tell. Just pray, please.
Shout out today.
He said that was the first time he experienced anything like that at HBCU. Because Sharp, he went to an HBCU, so he was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Savannah State, so he should know about that.
I tell people, man, I do not regret my time at HBCU at all. Because compared to how it is on PWI, compared to HBCU, it ain't nothing like it, man. Because the PWI, they have a tendency to just be too big.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not know anybody on the side of campus because it's just too big. But at HBCU, it was one time that you literally knew a lot of part of the student body. So I always appreciate that. So.
For sure.
And one more sports thing before we get out of here, man. Did y'all hear what Shannon Sharp said about the Dallas Mavericks defense? He said
what defense?
He said they can't guard. He said they can't guard a Lamborghini with a Uzi. I die, y'all.
What they say, Black Man? They can't guard what?
He said, Shannon Sharp said the Dallas Mavericks can't guard a Lamborghini with a Uzi.
Stupid.
They're 49 and 30.
They all offense. A matter of fact, I'm watching them now. They all offense, and they had no problem putting them offense.
But wasn't the year that Dirk won? Wasn't they all offense too?
Mm-hmm.
They was one of the highest scoring teams of all time.
For a while, they've been. I think last year they defensive
championships.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll see. We'll see. It'll be entertaining. Kyrie's playing out of his mind right now, so we'll see if they can maintain that going into the playoffs. Yeah, just real quick before we go, y'all think LA's getting in? They're 9th seed currently right now. Did they get in or not?
I think so, because the Rockets ain't challenging nobody no more. They already been eliminated. So it's just they either going to be in as a 9th seed in the play in or a 10th seed.
Right.
So.
And where is Golden State right now?
I think they're 10. I think they're at.
Yeah.
Well, no, they may be number 9 now.
Yeah, they passed LA. They beat LA last night.
Oh,
so
they
beat LA now?
Yeah.
They may be up like a half a game.
Yeah, half a game. They beat them last night. LA got one more loss.
It don't matter. The Lakers and Warriors gonna wind up playing each other in the play-in anyway.
Yeah.
And then the Warriors will probably get them. And then it's time for LeBron to go ahead and hang them up, brother. Hang them up.
Yeah.
LeBron waiting on Bronny, man.
Yeah, he waiting on Bronny.
I don't know what he's waiting for. Bronny is not that good.
He's not.
He's not that good.
He's all right, man. I don't think teams gonna take a chance on him because of his health.
It look like
look if what's that so one of them Ball brothers, if he can't get into the league, because that guy at least he can shoot, but he can't stay in the league. Not LiAngelo.
LaMelo?
Yeah, LiAngelo, the one he put he
the
can't,
one that got caught in China stealing.
Exactly. But he can shoot his tail off, man. So I'm saying if he can't land a roster spot in the NBA, I don't see what Brian's going to be able to do with that.
Right.
He's basically the same size, about 6'7".
You say he was still in China, right?
Yeah.
Nigga stealing, nigga.
Well, one thing I did notice about Bronny's game when he was in high school, because you saw the clips between him and his brother. His brother is taller, and his brother looked like he ultimately may be more talented when it's all said and done. But Bronny, he looked like he had this work ethic that he was a hard worker. So I remember seeing that in high school. And then, of course, before his 1 year in college he had that heart injury. And I didn't know how that's going to play. I didn't know if that had to play with, his minutes. I was surprised he played this season. Because that's like a whole, it's a big question mark on if you could play again. But, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm not surprised because this was their plan all along. Because LeBron always wanted to play at least one season or so with his son in the NBA. So, and like you say, Mr. Bennett, it's nepotism. I mean, he's going to get drafted because of his name. Because they not really going to draft Bronny for Bronny. They're going to draft Bronny for LeBron because they know LeBron.
What's Giannis' brother name?
Thanasis.
Yeah, he gonna get the Thanasis treatment.
He's
gonna be on the team, but he ain't gonna play. He gonna play garbage minutes.
Yeah, that sounds like a foot spray.
I see.
Hey, Black Man, tough acting Thanasis.
Yep.
I see. Black David in the back talking about. I guess he wanted us to play with this.
Want to talk about wrestling?
Hey, Black David, I'm with you. Set it up. I'll talk about it with you. I've been watching.
Yeah,
I'm in and out, man. I go through seasons, man. One time I was in all of that, and then now I'm out, and so I'm. Here's a little
known fact about me. I actually trained to be a wrestler.
Get out.
Yeah, I was at MCW
running the rope
out here where I'm at, and I was actually training. I had a
neck injury.
I had to stop, but
taking them bumps.
I was at Mr. Ben. I was out there taking bumps and bouncing off the ropes and jumping off the top rope. But that was my dream, was to be a wrestler. That's the truth.
Oh man,
that's the honest truth. That was my dream, was to be a wrestler. And I was a good villain, Mr. Bennett. I was a good bad guy. I can make people hate me.
I got all right. So you guys show us some tape of your mic skills, man. Like,
Now, Trey, y'all talk about LeBron James and Bronny. The reason that Bronny will get picked up by a good team is because of stuff like this. Like LeBron is setting him up for things like this right here.
Man, like everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party. So
Yeah, that's
oh
what's up.
man,
Oh no.
we out.
Oh, why you do that, man, like that?
See you later.
All right, y'all be good, man.
All right. That's messed up. Man.
Oh my gosh.
Ladies and gentlemen, up next, you have JT with What We Know podcast on Wednesday. Go ahead and tune into that. We're about to leave out of this one and go to our next show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week on 1-on-1 Sports Show. Up next, What We Know podcast, What We Know Wednesday. Let's get it.